If you haven't yet bought an Oculus Quest, I'd advise you check out my things to know before you buy one video. I'll leave a link in the description below or there for you, but that will give you a lot of information about the Quest that this might skip over, because today we're going into a deep dive of the Oculus Quest, taking a look at the hardware, the software, and finally I'll discuss with you why I think this is the best value VR headset that you can buy at this moment in time. So before we begin, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and welcome back to another episode of STU'S Reviews. I believe the Oculus Quest is quite a controversial device. On one hand, there's people that really love the device, and then on the other hand, there's people that really aren't that fussed, and in fact possibly even don't like the device. And I can guarantee a lot of those people have nothing better to do with their time other than come to this video and hit that dislike button. And if that's you, then get on with it and bugger off. But if you're still around, then hopefully I've piqued your interest, and I'm going to take you through why I think it's the best value VR headset. But before we do, let's dive in to the specs. The Oculus Quest is Facebook's attempt to make a standalone VR headset mainstream, and it doesn't disappoint. It runs on its own Android system using its own processor, the Snapdragon 835. It even has built-in speakers for audio, as well as featuring the ability to add headphones through the regular 3.5mm connection. It features external tracking using the sensors on the outside of the headset, which means no need for complicated sensor or camera setup. It's a pretty minimalistic device to keep its weight down to just 571 grams, so by way of external controls, it doesn't have much other than a volume, on and off, and an IPD adjuster for maximum universal fit. The second-gen Oculus Touch controllers are extremely neat, and perhaps the most comfortable controllers I've used in a while. Each controller has its own ring of infrared LEDs for tracking, a rumble motor for haptic feedback, and with the amount of times that I've punched the ceiling with these things, they would appear pretty tough too. So let's discuss some of these tech specs in a little bit more detail. Firstly, it joins a select number of headsets that actually work on its own because it's got its own processor and it's got its own hard drive. That to me is a massive selling point and hits the nail on the head for many people out there. I reckon that the Oculus Quest is most relevant for people who've never had a headset before because it allows people to get into VR without the need of an expensive computer to plug it into. So that for me is one of the biggest selling points of the Quest, and I love it. You're untethered, and it means you can get stuck in without paying loads of money for all this extra stuff that you might need with something that's dependent on a computer. Inside it, each lens is a resolution of 1440 by 600, meaning it's actually a very sharp display. But one of the biggest benefits of this is it's very adjustable. You've got a little dial on the bottom here that can adjust the lens in terms of their width apart. So if you have wider set eyes, you can move it all the way out, or if you have closer set eyes, you can move it all the way in. That, for me, adds to kind of the adjustability and being able to suit pretty much everyone. And as well, the actual outside is very adjustable too. On the top, you've got one little strap here that you can undo and tighten that up if you've got a smaller head. And on the side here as well, you've got two straps that you can pull open and then sort of tighten against your face to get that nice and tight at the right angle. So the adjustability is awesome, and it really will fit a wide variety of users. I mean, I've got quite a bulbous, large head.
Look me square in the eyes and tell me you love me.
What's a bit weird about the display though is the refresh rate. Now the Oculus Rift has an 80Hz refresh rate and the Rift S has a 90Hz refresh rate. Even the PSVR, that has a 90Hz refresh rate. This is 72. So to me that's a bit weird, and I was a bit apprehensive before I started using this of how that would negatively impact my experience with inside the games. My answer is that I don't think it affects it at all. I don't even notice that it's a lower refresh rate. You think you would, but you really don't. I don't find it causes me any more motion sickness than any other VR headset. I just think that it's a number and it probably doesn't matter that much. There are people out there who vehemently disagree with that opinion and say that the 72Hz refresh rate gives you a terrible experience. Well, I disagree. I actually think it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm going to pull a matrix on you here. If you didn't know it was at 72Hz, would you have realised? I don't think you would. But if you do use one of these and you do notice that it's only 72Hz refresh rate, I would love to hear from you. So let me know in the comments below. But anyway, moving on to one last thing that I really like about the tech specs of this device is the audio. This has blown me away because I thought, you know, using the speakers on here, the spatial audio, I thought, well, it's not going to be really that immersive and I'll need headphones for the full kind of effect. That is a wrong opinion. The spatial audio is phenomenal on this, and it really does not give you any drop in immersion if you don't use headphones. Yes, if you're in a noisy environment with dogs barking and kids running around you, well then, yeah, you're probably going to want to wear headphones. But for those of you that live on your own or in a quieter environment with just a partner, then I don't think you need headphones because the audio is amazing, and it's one of those things that you'll need to hear it to begin to believe how good it is.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
There is one more thing, actually, that I do want to discuss, and that's the battery life. The battery life is only 2 to 3 hours, and that's fine. I guess at the end of the day, they've tried to keep the weight down as much as possible because it is very, very front heavy. There is no weight on the back. And some people have criticised this. I don't mind so much because obviously I've got an extremely muscly neck, so to me it doesn't make much of a difference. But what a lot of people have done is they've made a little clip that goes on the back using a 3D printer. I don't know if you can buy them at the moment. Maybe someone out there makes them, I don't know. I mean, someone's surely going to sell them on Etsy. But a little clip on the back where you can mount a battery. Now the battery will weigh it down at the back a little bit more and create an even balance across the board, and that also increases the battery life as well, which I think it needs it, because 2 to 3 hours, I mean, you can easily chuck that in this because you get so immersed in VR and all of a sudden the battery dies and you're drawn back kicking and screaming into this reality of lockdown, which is horrible. But the point is, the battery life isn't so good. You might want to investigate getting an external battery pack just to give yourself a little bit more time playing it. So moving on from the headset, in respect to the controllers, I actually really like the design of the controllers. They're very similar to kind of Oculus controllers as they are. One thing that a lot of people have criticised is the fact that it's got a battery in there that you can remove. It takes AA batteries, one per controller. A lot of people have said they didn't like that and they'd rather have a rechargeable battery in it. Well, I kind of disagree with that view. I like the fact that it's got a removable battery, because you could always get rechargeable AA batteries and just slot them in and away you go. If you didn't have a removable battery, the only other option is an internal rechargeable one. And they're fine. That's not bad. But imagine having this plugged in whilst trying to use it, murdering people in Blade and Sorcery. It'll get wrapped around your neck and you'll end up throttling yourself. It's either that, or you plug it in and wait for it to recharge, and nobody wants to do that these days. We live in a world where we want everything now. The fact you can do this now by opening that with the magnetic cover, swapping it out, putting a new battery in, magnetising that on, that's it. You're ready to game for another 15 hours, or at least until the headset dies. So this is the home page, essentially. This is what you get when you start up the Oculus Quest for the very, very first time. You can kind of look around. You've got a nice sofa over there, and shelves and stuff. Now you can change this to a bunch of different home environments. Annoyingly, I can't move around inside this environment. I mean, because this is 6 degrees of movement, I can step around. I can step around my environment. As you can see, I'm walking around. However, I can't actually move with the controller, which is a bit annoying because it'd be quite nice to sort of be able to move around in this environment a little bit. Once you've had to explore around in your own little environment, you'll want to know what these things are here. Now, you obviously can see my controllers are tracking very, very well in the environment, but also, actually, this is an experimental feature. Let me show you this. I can take these off. So once you put them down, you can then do this. Look, it's my hands. My hands are in VR. This is insane. This is actually insane. This is an experimental feature, so it's not going to be perfect, but it's working pretty well for an experimental feature. I mean, all you do is click to pinch, and you can drag up and down. And then if you wanted, you can go into things by pinching. So if I wanted to go into, say, the browser to look at safe for work images, then you can. One thing to say about the hand tracking is it's only currently available in the home environment. There aren't any apps at the moment, I don't think, that supports it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there are some apps that you can install another way, which I'll talk about in a bit, but at the moment I'm pretty certain nothing yet supports it because it's a relatively new feature. We have gallery here as well. Now this is quite important because it allows you to connect to media, internal storage, Facebook, but also more importantly allows you to go into this, the Plex media server. Now I have Plex on my computer, which allows me to stream all the stuff I've stored on my computer to essentially things in the house, but it means that I have access to my entire library through all this, which is quite good. Look at that. It's a gigantic display in my living room. This is awesome. Honestly, it's unbelievable. The software is beautiful. It's a really, really nice piece of software. Right, that's enough of that. Let's have a look at, for example, just to give you an idea of what it's like, let's have a look at Super Hot. Now Super Hot is important because it actually really demonstrates the 6 degrees of movement really, really well. Unlike many different headsets that only use head tracking, like I showed you a minute ago, you can walk around and this headset will track you in your environment. So I can walk towards this, for example, have a look at the computer, move towards it. Obviously I can't touch it, it's not real, but maybe walk over here as well. I can walk over and look at the wall, have a look at this here, slice and dice. These are all my achievements here. But this really gives you a feeling that you're actually in the environment. You can see what I mean, the fact that I can actually duck down behind stuff, I can move around like this. It isn't just head tracking. It means that I've got the ability to hide behind things. Now straight away, there is one thing I do want to address, and that is the fact that it's not recording in full HD. I don't know why. It's a weird kind of square aspect ratio. I just don't understand why Oculus don't let you record full HD. Because I think it is capable of. I've seen some stuff on forums before where people have done a bit of a hack and found ways to... Look at that! They've found ways to... Look at this guy here, what is this? Oh, brilliant. There are ways that you can get full HD recording natively in the Oculus Quest, but that revolves around kind of adding developer stuff in, and it's a bit of a rigmarole. And to be honest, for the general user, you won't want to be doing that, which is completely understandable. Now, in terms of its graphic capabilities, the Oculus Quest runs the Snapdragon 835 on an Android-based operating system. So, look, it's not going to win any awards for its graphic abilities, which is why most developers you'll find have made games in potentially a more unique art style, such as these games here. You've got Pistol Whip, which is an epilepsy-inducing John Wick simulator. You've got something like Beat Saber, which isn't exactly particularly taxing on the system, but even games like Journey of the Gods, which is open world, still uses a kind of cartoony element to its graphic capabilities. And this is the way that developers are getting around the sort of limitations that this thing has when it comes to graphics. There is a lot to say when it comes to what it can do external to this. Now this has Oculus Link, which means you can plug it directly into a computer and use the graphical capabilities of your computer to use it as a full PC VR headset, which means you have access to the full Steam store, the full Oculus store, and much better graphics than you do internally. And it also means you can play games such as Blade and Sorcery. Naughty! Naughty! Now to do this, you're going to need the Oculus Link cable, which I've covered in my 8 things you need to know before you buy one of these. So if you're interested in that, go and check them out at the end of this video. But one quick tip which I didn't say in that video was that I bought an 8-meter Oculus Link cable from China, and it was on the way when I made that video. Anyway, it arrived and it didn't work. So anything over 5 meters I will call absolute nonsense on that. It probably won't work, so don't waste your money. I would stick that to either 2 of the primary ones, which is the genuine Oculus cable, And there's another cable that comes highly recommended as well called the Party Link cable. One thing as a word of warning though, the cable that comes with this is only for charging and syncing data. It isn't fast enough to use this as a PC VR headset, so that's something you need to remember. I think originally Oculus had a bit of a walled garden approach to allowing developers to make software for the Oculus Quest, but over time they've broken down those barriers and there's a lot more you can do with it now. They've updated it themselves, so there's a hell of a lot more you can do just as a standard user, but if you're a little bit more confident, you can do things like download SideQuest for your computer and basically install apps onto this that aren't in the Oculus Store. And that gives you access to a wide range of awesome things you can do with this and apps that just aren't available. So I would advise you check out SideQuest if you've got one of these, because it just allows you to do a hell of a lot more than just the standard set of functions. But in terms of actual updates to the software, Oculus are constantly updating it. They're always bringing out new and improved stuff. I mean, very recently they brought out a function where you can put it on, and if you double tap the side of the device like this, it shows you your room. It makes the game disappear or whatever you're playing disappear and shows your room through the sensors on the front. Now that's awesome. That's an awesome little safety feature. Rather than you having to kind of do this every 5 minutes to make sure you're not standing on your dog, I think that's a great little feature. And one of the most recent features they brought out, which was the Oculus Link, that is just incredible. The fact that you can plug this into a PC and get full PC VR access on things like Steam VR as well, it makes this unbeatable value. I mean, it's £400 for the base memory, 64 gig. £400 for a full VR headset that works with both your PC and as a standalone device. This is why it's unbeatable value for what it is. It's incredible. But here goes the bit of a problem. At the moment, they're massively constrained. So all this is a bit of a, if you can get hold of one. I know a load of you out there will be watching this going, oh God, I still can't get hold of one. I've been trying for ages and ages and ages. Look, I'm so sorry that that is the case, and I'm really hoping for you that you get hold of it soon. When you do, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to find out when you manage to get hold of one, because I think they're coming in stock. Slowly, they are. Check randomly, check often, and you'll hopefully nab one very, very soon, because they are coming in dribs and drabs, and hopefully soon less constrained. So good luck with that, guys. I hope you get hold of one if you're looking to buy one, because that is my recommendation. If you're new to VR, this thing is awesome. It's going to blow your mind, and it's going to, essentially in today's current climate when we're all stuck indoors, this is going to blow your mind and help you get out of that environment. But even if we're not in lockdown anymore, this is an experience that is just incredible. And the fact you don't need a computer, it just, yeah. I wasn't a VR... No, I liked VR beforehand, but I wasn't that bothered by it. I thought it was a bit of a gimmick. This has changed me completely. I am now a VR convert, and I love the Oculus Quest. I really do. And I think that for those of you that have already had experience of virtual reality headsets, this is still a bargain buy. It really, really is. And that pretty much concludes my review on the Oculus Quest. Guys, massive thanks for dropping by today. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content, possibly on the Oculus Quest. I've got a few more bits coming up as well in the upcoming week, so hit that notification bell. And a massive shout out to all my current patrons. You guys are ace. Thank you very much for supporting me. I say that every episode. I always say it, and I always mean it. I couldn't do this without you. But other than that, guys, I'll see you back for another episode of STU'S Reviews. That was a bit of a slur. I'm going to leave that in, because it's lockdown and I'm slowly going mad. I'll see you soon. That was good. I like that. I'm happy with that. I'm slowly going mad. Oh, look at that. I found a little watch thing on the floor. Oh, darlings, very good, yeah. How many hours has that been, yeah? 35 minutes? That's not bad, actually. Have I missed a lot of stuff out on this? I think I might have done. I don't know.